I feel very empowered that I have, living my life as a Sikh gives me a very solid foundation. Every morning when I get up and I recite Japji, and I then do my Kundalini yoga exercises, and then we sit and we sing Simran and chant. It sets up the day. I've already given 2.5 hours of my day for something bigger than me. Then the rest of the day is just for giving and for enjoying life. And yeah, I am quintessentially English. I was born here. I have very English way of being, but that doesn't mean that I can't live my life according to Sikh values. And for me, that's the key thing. It's about, the word is values, and how we have a standard of understanding, because when you wear a turban, you are standing under something which is more, it's taller, it's bigger than who I am. It represents something bigger than me. And that's a very powerful way to live my life. I find the connectivity with other people who wear turbans, whatever religious dogma they may claim to be, there's a level of understanding what position they're going to come from. One of the things I found, the more I embrace the Sikh way of being, because for me it is about being and being human. For me, that's very much what Sikhism is standing for. It's about being human. But the more I embraced that, the more I had to stand out, and the more I had to be prepared to look different, and therefore not to go with the crowd. And if you don't go with the crowd, I feel it's only right to tell people I'm not going to react like a crowd. I always had long hair, and then I cut my hair when I started my proper job in the city. And I got sick not that long afterwards, and I really always felt that actually cutting my hair really weakened me. I didn't really know how I was going to heal myself, and through a whole series of people, I met a wonderful man called Guru Singh, who was my first real teacher. And he gave me a lot of Kundalini yoga exercises to do and practice. And then after I'd known him for about 3 years, I met Yogi Bhajan, who was his teacher. And that summer, the summer of '95, I went to the World Sikh Conference in Amritsar. I didn't even know how Sikh was spelt. I thought it was still spelled S-E-E-K when I arrived. And I saw all these people with turbans, which didn't faze me. I'd been to India a lot, and I'd seen people wearing turbans. But I went wearing a very English Memsahib hat, sort of white sun hat. And because I knew that they all were white, and actually I just felt good wearing white. And I went to the Golden Temple, and I had this most incredible healing experience, and that's really made me understand the power of that whole way of life. But while I was there, it was incredibly hot. It was maybe in the low 40s in centigrade, and it was unbearably hot, and I'd begun to get sunstroke, and I didn't really know what to do. It was a punishing schedule. We were up most of the time. It was hot. I was getting dehydrated. And finally I went to Guru Singh, and I said, Guru Singh, I'm getting really bad sunstroke. I don't know what to do. And he said, well, I don't know. I said, well, what do you suggest? And after a long silence, he said, I think you should tie a turban. That was the only thing I can suggest. And I said, no, no, I'm never going to tie a turban. I'm never going to do anything like that. But then I thought about it. I thought, well, I don't know what the alternative is. The water's not cold enough to get cold here. So then I had a long silence, and I looked at him and I said, well, your wife wears a turban. I guess you've watched her tie a turban every day. Will you tie a turban for me? And there was a long silence, and I sort of guessed that he didn't really know how to tie a turban on a woman, but long silence. And then he lifted me up onto a ledge to make me the right height. And he got a turban, and he tied this turban on me. And within about 5 minutes, my temperature began to come down, and it just felt so good. It felt, and any women listening to this will know exactly what I mean, it felt like finding a pair of shoes which you've been longing to find, the most comfortable pair of shoes ever. And that's exactly what it felt like putting a turban on, and I've worn a turban every day ever since. Because it feels good. That's the first thing. It just feels good. And I feel myself. It creates a consistency in my behavior, and tying a turban every morning. I have a 5-yard turban, a very fine muslin, Just the very fact of tying it is a meditation in itself. It's very calming, it's very centering. And then putting a turban on holds the skull bones together in a way that's very reassuring, but it's very focusing, and it's very powerful. I didn't realize the technology of tying a turban was like that. If it wasn't like that, I wouldn't do it. I don't tie a turban because someone told me to, but the results of wearing a turban are, I stand out. I mean, you know, I stand out. I'm in the crowd, I wear white and I'm wearing a turban. It actually forces a level of behavior that when you stand out, you have to become outstanding, and you therefore become a leader, and therefore you serve. And that's really where it comes to for me. For me, Sikhism is how I live my life. It's a lifestyle. It's the lifestyle I chose, and it's very easy to live within that framework, because it's just like jazz singing. Jazz has a little bits of framework, and then you improvise around it. And it's just like that. We call it a dharma, which is a way. So there's not many rules and regulations. But what there is a sense of value. For me, this lifestyle is held together by the values of serving, defending other people's rights, creating employment for other people, and really getting up before the sun and praying and meditating and taking good care of my physical body so that other people don't have to care for it. It's true, mostly now you see Sikh men wearing turbans, but historically women always wore turbans too. And I don't say just in this last 500 years that Sikhism has been on the map, but I studied classical Greek at university, and there's this sentence which used to come up a lot, which is, and then she used to bind her head, and we would translate it as, then she'd put her hair up. And I realized that this concept of tying something around your head as a woman has been there for centuries. We just forgot it. So for me, it's really accessing something beyond the personality of what I do with my hair. I have long hair, I have long blonde hair, and it's in very good condition. I like to take care of it, but having a turban takes the hair part out of the equation. It takes the hair part out of the equation, and it just puts it back into being the identity of who I stand for as a woman, and not how I have to react as a woman. Other women don't really take notice. I mean, most people just know me for who I am. They don't even describe me anymore as the woman in the white turban. They describe me as the girl with the cute dog, which already takes 20 years off my life. I mean, how cool is that? But a lot of women are very interested, and through the work I do with the course I run called Be the Woman, a lot of women start wearing a turban, not because they want to be like me. I say, please, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to like being you. And try it, see what it feels like. And every woman will know that feeling when she's washed her hair and you're sitting and you're drying it, and then you put a towel around and you tie a turban with a towel. It feels so good. A lot of women say to me that's the bit they like best about going to the hairdresser. It's just that tight feeling of having a towel on your head. So in a way, it's like that, but it's all the time. And so I urge women to try it and see and feel that sense of going beyond just the personality of being an emotional woman, because for sure tying a turban takes a lot of emotion out of the equation. Why not live to the highest possible standards that you can?